Diamond, Executive Platinum, Platinum, Emerald, Sapphire.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Crew Travel, right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm pleased to welcome back the dashing Lee Harris. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yes, I like being called dashing, so it's all good.
Well, I was a little late this morning, so I decided that I would give you a very nice descriptive word to make you forgive me.
Exactly right. Yeah, you should definitely compliment me today. I mean, we are running at least a whole 10 minutes late, aren't we?
I know, and I'm not good at that. I don't like being late, so 10 minutes is 10 minutes. And I have to say that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the 70s.
Good job.
Thanks. I'm going to make you say that one day.
Well, I'll forget it. I'll say that or something, won't I?
So what's going on in the world of travel?
I guess the first one we should talk about is the Australia and New Zealand travel bubble. That's the big news for the week. So Australia and New Zealand residents will be able to travel between the two nations without having to quarantine from the 19th of April. Since October, New Zealand travellers have been allowed to enter most Australian states without quarantine, though this had not been reciprocated by New Zealand themselves. Both nations have since contained COVID and kept infection rates near zero, hence now announcing the start of the two-way travel bubble, as we said, from April the 19th. Passengers travelling to New Zealand will be allowed to travel, and all passengers must wear masks and give details to New Zealand authorities of where they will be staying. The New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern warned that travel arrangements could change if there is an outbreak. This is similar to how Australia has on two occasions briefly halted travel from New Zealand. But she did also say that New Zealand would view cases in Australia as a region of our own when making decisions on restrictions. Basically, they'll take what she's saying is that they're going to take state by state cases. So it won't be a complete shutdown if, say, Queensland got an outbreak. Then New South Wales and other places would still be able to travel. What she is saying, though, is if multiple cases of an unknown origin emerged, we would likely suspend flights for a set period of time. So what crew and people are traveling need to take into consideration is the fact that they may book a week's holiday, but there is the chance and the opportunity that they may get delayed if there is a sudden outbreak during their week-long stay. Other conditions which also may be brought in if there is an outbreak is including pre-departure testing for people from affected areas.
Well, I mean, at least things are moving forward, and that's definitely a good thing.
It is indeed. I think this is probably now about 3 weeks in a row where we've got the majority of good news, which, you know, it's pretty much unheard of in the show that we're doing.
Yeah, and it's been over a year.
Yeah.
Sad times. American Airlines made an announcement this week.
Yeah, they did. So American Airlines have announced plans for quarantine-free flights from New York JFK to both Milan, Malpensa, and Rome, Fiumicino. I apologise for my pronunciation to any Italians who are listening as well. The carrier's services to both cities have been suspended for a year, but daily B777 flights to Milan resumed on April the 4th, and they will be followed by a free-time weekly service to Rome on May the 8th. Now, to be eligible for quarantine-free travel, customers will need to present a negative COVID-19 test prior to departure, no more than 72 hours, as well as a negative test on arrival into Milan or Rome. The news follows similar plans announced by Delta for quarantine-free flights to the same cities, which were due to start at the beginning of April. Obviously, this is good news for the med season that's now going to be kicking into full swing. So this is definitely a way that crew can get from the States into Europe and not having to quarantine.
Nice one. Air Belgium, something's going on there.
Belgium. Indeed, only a small airline, but they have set a date of July the 2nd for the resumption of flights. They have not flown a flight for nearly a year now, stating that this was a sensible decision for the airline given the current sanitary crisis. The carrier operates a fleet of 3 A340 aircraft out of Brussels Airport to destinations including Pointe-à-Pitre in Guadeloupe and Fort-de-France in Martinique. It also plans to add a new route to Curaçao Airport from July the 3rd. The carrier added they had chosen a start date for July because the various vaccination campaigns and the implementation of the European vaccination certificate will have progressed enough for free travel within the European Union, of which Martinique and the islands of Guadeloupe are part of.
Nice. And London City Airport, there's news out of there now.
Yeah, they're starting to reopen again. So they've been skeleton flights to say the least for the last few months. But British Airways is set to begin operating flights to Gibraltar as it expands its network from London City Airport. Alongside Gibraltar, the British flag carrier will also run a New Jersey service from the central London airport. I can't stress enough, this is a godsend for crew who live in Jersey, because it's such a pain at this moment in time trying to get them home. It's flights, it's trains, it's cars, it's ferries. It's such a nightmare. So this is a real godsend for those. The airline will be adding twice weekly flights to Gibraltar on Monday and Friday from June the 25th, and the services will initially run for the summer season, dependent on how busy they are. Along with the flights to Gibraltar, BA Cityfly will also launch the flights to Jersey on June the 25th. Again, these will be twice weekly flights on a Monday and Friday. Along with the aforementioned flights, there was also the announcement of a resumption of 3 more domestic routes departing London City starting from April the 15th. These flights are to Edinburgh with BA, to Dundee starting April the 16th with Logan Air, and to Glasgow again with BA from May the 16th.
Wow. Do you know what? I mean, everything that you've said so far today, it just is really opening things up for crew to get to and from where they need to go straight across the planet, which is welcome news, because when this first broke a year ago, as routes started shutting down, it became more and more and more difficult. Some of the routes that they had to take would take them 2-3 times longer than it normally would, and cost them 2 to 3 times as much.
Oh, definitely. I mean, some of the routes that we've had to book, this last year have been crazy. I mean, you feel bad offering them to people, but you have no choice. What with border closures or, certain places that people can't transit and all the rest of it. So, I mean, there have been some funky routes, to say the least, that people have had to travel to. Yeah, it's definitely looking a lot positive, a lot more positive now, especially this last 2 or 3 weeks. Airlines and airports and countries now seem to be on board with the whole vaccination program. I know it's slow in certain areas. Europe are not great at it at the moment, but fingers crossed they're going to get there. It's definitely looking a lot more positive than what it did, that's for sure.
Well, it's exciting, definitely. And we have a crew travel question this week.
We did, yeah. We had a question from Chloe this week, wanting to know whether she'd be able to accept a job on a yacht in Spain, as she's a South African passport holder and she would be departing from Johannesburg. The good news for Chloe is that she can accept a job and travel to Spain from South Africa is okay as a crew member. You will need your discharge book, you'll need your contract for your working purposes, and other letters that you would normally carry when you are traveling as a seafarer. However, Chloe, you will have to quarantine for 10 days on arrival into Spain, but the good news is this can be done on board the yacht. We would recommend also getting an agent guarantee letter, also stating your reasons for travel into Spain. So what we would say is, for any yachts or crew who are looking for agents at this moment, we would recommend speaking to BWA Yachting in Spain. They'll have all the information that they'll need.
Wonderful. Well, that is great news, because right now, as you said at the beginning, it is the med season. It is heating up, and we are looking for crew. So the idea, and then South Africa has quite a few crew that come over here every single year in order to look for work. So the idea that the South Africans can come over and possibly do dock walking, well, I guess they can't do dock walking. They have to be guaranteed that they've got a job.
Yeah. They'll need, I mean, as it stands at the moment, they need the contract saying they're going to work on a yacht. So I would imagine probably dog walking is going to be out of the equation at the moment. But it's just a matter, sit tight, things are changing quite quickly. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and with the vaccination rollout still, in full swing, that hopefully will change sooner rather than later as well.
Well, South Africa's always been a little bit difficult when it comes to Europe, as far as looking for work, and the States too, from what I...
Yeah, definitely. It is. But hopefully, fingers crossed anyway, we've got shoots of recovery. Right.
Well, once again, Lee, thank you ever so much for your time and for your wisdom. We really, truly appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Yep, I love being here, so all good.
Nice. You've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.